Going on, Falcon fans? This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. So today we're going to talk about some expectations and some things to look for in this Atlanta Falcons game against the Seattle Seahawks this weekend. Some of the things that I'm going to be looking for, some of the expectations that we hope we can actually get out this team this weekend, and hopefully we can come away with that first W, right? We have to get that first W of the season to make it feel like the things that we did this off season is going to actually work for us. So hopefully we can try to get some wins, to get a win this weekend. So guys, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know when I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys like to hear what I talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come in and hear me talk about these Atlanta Falcons. So I'm gonna wait a little minute to see if anybody comes on. If not, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna rock this quick video of my expectations and then some of the things that I'm gonna be looking for this weekend to see what these Falcons can do to get this W. All right, the first thing I want to talk about, and the big thing is to talk about, of course, the injury report came out. For the most part, the Atlanta Falcons are pretty healthy going into week 3. Darren Hall had a couple issues, but he actually participated in full practice the last 2 days, so he should be a goal for Sunday's game. Elijah Wilkerson, however, will be out. Our starting left guard, who's actually been playing pretty good this year, but he'll be out. And who's been filling in that role is Chuba Idoka, the guy we picked up off waivers, at the end of the season and to the 53-man roster, and Kobe Gossick. So both of those guys will be filling in. Not sure who's actually going to be starting at left guard position. We know Jalen Mayfield is still on the IR, so he's not the guy that's going to be plugged in to fill that spot. So one of those guys is going to be filled in. And the interesting thing about the offensive line, we have not really talked about the offensive line that much this season, which was one of our big issues, one of our things that we actually had concerns about coming into the offseason was the offensive line. It was chronicled by how bad the offensive line was last year in certain positions, but we can actually say this season, for the most part, offensive line has been opening up running holes for our guys. These got the running game's been better, and we have not given that many sacks. The quarterback has not been hit that many times. Of course, he's more mobile, but for the most part, we can actually say, from a standpoint from an offensive line, we haven't had any issues um, with our offensive line. So I love that to be the case that we haven't had any issues with our offensive line. So guys, I'm gonna go ahead and get into some of the things that, in my opinion, um, things that we should be looking out for this Atlanta Falcons game based off the first 2 weeks of the season. Like I said, we can go ahead and put away with the off-season expectations. We've seen this team for 2 games this year. Now we got to actually see what these guys are going to be able to bring to the table, right? So the first thing I want to talk about here, and if you're looking at it, is a 60 minutes game. That's what I want to see. 60 minutes of football, right? We got to be able to see these guys go out and put together 60 minutes of football. That's what we want to see. All right. First game, 3.5 quarters. These guys looked great. Looked great. Came out in the fourth quarter. We all assumed that they took their foot off the gas, started going to prevent mode. That's not what they said happened. They actually said they kept being aggressive, kept getting pressure, just was not making plays, in that fourth quarter, right? So we want to see 60 minutes. If we would have played for 55 minutes in that game, right? 50 minutes in that game, we probably would have came out victorious in that first game against the Aints. So 60 minutes of football, that's something I want to see. I know these guys keep harping about finishing the game, being able to finish and have a complete game out there. Never's going to be 100% perfect because guess what? Those other guys on the other side is pretty good as well. But if you can try to put together a 60-minute game, That's what you want to do. 60 minutes of football. So the first thing I want to see, expectations for this game, based off everything they've been saying for the last two games, is hey, they want to finish. Let's get 60 minutes of football out there. And if we can do that, that'd be great for this team. So hopefully, guys, we can actually get to see 60 minutes of football on Sunday against the Seattle Seahawks. All right. That's what I want to see. 60 minutes of football. My next thing I want to see um is the pass rush, right? If you're talking about these Atlanta Falcons, the pass rush and the pressures, we definitely want to see that from this Atlanta Falcon team. The pass rush and the pressures, we definitely need to see that, right? We talked about it. 18 sacks last year, total as a team. Already got four. I thought we got a fifth sack. Dean P said he don't think we got a sack, but I think we did. I think we got either 4 or 5 sacks. Either way, we're there where we need to be with our pass rush and the pressure is looking a whole lot better from last year. But what I want to see, what I expect to see this game is for us to get out the Geno Smith, right? We want to be able to confuse him with our pressure packages that Dean Pease like to call when he sent pressures from all over the field, and then we want our pass rush, our young outside linebackers to be able to get on the outside, and then our interior defensive linemen to actually put pressure up the middle. If we can do that, along like I said, with those exotic blitzes that Dean Pease like to call, that's something that we want to see. Those expectations that I want to see. I hope you guys want to see those. So that's really something that I definitely want to see on Sunday. What I expect to see, what I'm looking for on Sunday is these guys to actually kick out pass rush and pressures to be a lot in this game. All right, we definitely got to try to focus in, guys. We got to get this W. It was a poll out there. I forgot who actually put it out. Was this a must win for the Atlanta Falcons? In my opinion, it's a must win because um, this team that we're playing in Seattle Seahawks, yes, it's a tough game. It's on their home field, tough place to play. But if we want to be one of those teams that could potentially, um, vie for a playoff spot, this is our third NFC team. You start looking at the NFC games that you play. You got to start getting some wins in NFC. All right, we got AFC opponents on there, but AFC opponents losses does not matter as much as losses that you have in NFC. So we got to start making some wins in NFC. Um, the division's still right there for us, right? The Bucks got 2 wins, but 2 wins not too far off. We still got to play them twice, so we got to start getting NFC wins. That's why I think it's important. But what I expect to see tomorrow from a Atlanta Falcons, not tomorrow, Sunday. Sorry about that. I expect to see the Atlanta Falcons get pass rush and pressures, guys. That's what I want to see from those guys. Next on the list, which is a big one to me, when I think about what I expect to see and what I'm looking for. All right, and that's secondary against Lockett and Metcalf, right? And then where is AJ Terrell? All right, we talked about this numerous of times how excited we was to have AJ Terrell and Casey Hayward, those bookend corners on each side. AJ Terrell been noted as one of the best young defensive players in the league. Um, on everybody's preseason coming in expectations, and let's just be honest, in the first two games, especially in the red zone, they've been picking on AJ Terrell a little bit. So um, I expect him to bounce back because he's not what we've seen so far. Um, you could just kind of chalk it up in some cases to better offense, going against good defense. But that play last week against Robinson, I think it was just a little bit too easy for my taste. Looking at what AJ Terrell was able to do, but I think this week what I want to see and what I'm expecting to see from our secondary to have hopefully a good bounce back game against. I think that Matthew Stafford got pretty much whatever he wanted. Could be the way they were scheming them because they was playing a lot of zone, giving the stuff underneath. Um, A lot of missed tackles in that game as well. I think some guys come up and make some tackles in some of those key spots. Some of that yak yard wouldn't have been so much to see, but that's what I'm expecting to see. What I want to see is the secondary against those weapons, Lockett and Metcalf. And I don't really want to leave out their tight ends as well because they got two pretty good tight ends and Fant. I can't think of the other tight end's name, but those guys, um, that secondary, we want to be able to see get out there. Are these receivers right? Tight coverage, make Geno Smith throw tight throws. No guys running wide open down the field. So with expectations, I want to see what I think we should be able to see from this team. All right, if they're working on their own keys, not my keys from the other day, but their keys, is to try to limit Lockett and Metcalf in the game, right? And like I said, we want to make Geno Smith hold the ball. We want to make him, overthink, try to have him go to his third progression, and maybe our pass rush and our pressures can get there. So that's what I expect from this secondary, and hopefully we'll be able to see something like that as well. All right. E- I think the next topic is something that we all kind of thought about throughout the this week, and was not everybody's really not pushing the panic button, not just yet, but you can actually see where it could be a situation where you could start pushing that panic button, right? And what I'm talking about is Kyle Pitts breakout, right? Hopefully we can see Kyle Pitts have one of those breakout games, right? We kind of said the same thing in the first two games last year, right? With Kyle Pitts did not get a lot, and then we went over overseas, and he had his breakout game against the New York Jets, and he went off from there, right? We know the kind of talent that Kyle Pitts is. We know Arthur Smith said that it's going to come to him. We know Marcus Mariota said the ball is going to find him, but at the same time, at some point, we got to stop talking about it, and we got to be able to get Kyle Pitts the ball. I understand the attention that Kyle Pitts get. He's going to get double and things like that. But we got to remember when you're that explosive, even though you're going to get targeted, they're not going to double you the whole time. Some teams, some defensive coaches will. They was like, we're not gonna let this guy beat us. But that's why you got to be able to utilize Kyle Pitts and move him around, which he's able to do that. He's that kind of talent where you can put him in the slot where we create some one-on-one matchups for him. Right? You got to be able to do that. Yes, Drake London is playing and feeding off the attention that Kyle Pitts is getting. But however, I think if both of those guys could get going, both of those guys can get fed, I think it'll just only help us out. So what I'm expecting to see this week, especially with all the emphasis and all the noise that's been from the outside, um, I expect Kyle Pitts to have a good breakout this game. And if we do that, I think we will come away with that W. So that's what I'm expecting this week is for Kyle Pitts to come out and do his thing. Um, we know Kyle Pitts wanted to be great. If you go look at a lot of his interviews, he was kind of pissed off about, just getting one touchdown. He's way better than that. Everybody understands that, but he's putting on himself, right, to be able to make sure he run Chris routes and get open in the red zone. That's what he's trying to do. But at the same time, we got to you know, trust the coaches to draw up the right plays and put him in advantageous um, spots where he can actually get open. Then we got to trust the quarterback to get him the ball when he's open. So those are things we got to look at. But what I expect this week for them not to force feed because I think that's never a good thing to try to force feed weapons. And I don't think Kyle Pitts is that kind of diva where he's gonna pout because he's not getting touches. But um, he's going out doing the dirty work, going out trying to block guys, trying to help out in the run games. Being that decoy for Drake, get him in the end zone last week, things like that. I think he should be awarded. And in fact, getting the ball and showing his abilities as well. So that's one of the things I want to see. What I expect to see, what I'm looking for on Sunday game is Kyle Pitts breakout. And if we can see that, hey, that W, that's what we're going to see. So, how James Winston do it with the W's. But hopefully we can see that, and that'll be great for this team. We got to get that first win this weekend. And guys, my last point that I want to actually bring up, which I think is crucial, and one of the things about playing in Seattle, they got one of the best fan bases in the league, and the atmosphere is going to be great. It's a great home field advantage for any team to have. This is the kind of atmosphere that we want to try to create in Atlanta. All right, of course, it comes with winning. It's a different, type of fan in Seattle, of course, not like the Atlanta fans. But one of the big things that I definitely want to see is how will the Atlanta Falcons handle the 12s, right? That crowd is loud. All right, like I said, it's one of the best atmospheres um, in football and professional sports, and I think in sports general, playing inside that stadium, those guys are loud. They stay loud. Um, Another stadium you think about is down in the Superdome with the Aints, the Minnesota Vikings. Their stadium is loud. Kansas City is another tough place to go play. It's loud as well. Um, it's some great fan bases in the NFL. We can definitely say that that's what we want to see in Atlanta. I think it's a different type of atmosphere in Atlanta. Only kind of atmosphere that Atlanta can have, right? I mean, it's just that's what it is. If we could try to bring that down south party that we had in the New Orleans game, I think our team can start to feed off that and utilize that as home advantage. But we're talking about the Seattle fans this week and the things that the things that they're gonna bring to us, and that we're gonna have to be ready for. Jake Matthews in his interview talked about doing everything, communication on the silent counts, being able to communicate without being able to hear, things like that. They've been practicing all week. I think they had music blasting in the Husky Stadium all week. So hopefully they're prepared for that. But it's going to be interesting with my expectations to see, and what I'm looking for, how they handle that. How many false starts do they get on the offensive side of the ball? Um, how do the fans speed them up? Do they make mistakes? All the kind of things that you hope that the Falcons are ready for. They do have a veteran quarterback, even though sometimes this year he has not been playing that way. So um, we don't really know what to expect from that standpoint. But you know, we just have to see what Marcus Mariota and that offense able to do with those 12s, because we know they're going to be loud. And the best case scenario, we go out and we quiet them by making big plays early in the game, get them to a fast start, and we could do that. I definitely think that that would definitely benefit us. So that's one of the things I'm looking for is for this offense to go out, hopefully get a fast start, quiet the 12s, and then if we could do that, I think we can handle the atmosphere. Some players had never played in the stadium like this before, um, not even in college, right? It's some of these players is going to be in a culture shock to see how loud the stadium is going to be. Hopefully, they'll be able to handle it, and if so, um, like I said, we're gonna have to get that win. That's what it's all about, by any means necessary, to come out with a W this week. Like I said, for me personally, I think this is a must-win game. Still got a lot of games left, but we can't beat a team like the Seattle Seahawks, even though they're at their house. Um, I'm starting to think where we're going to see a win this season, looking at the schedule. So I just believe that this team has what it takes. They've been showing it the last two games. If they can go out and play an atmosphere like this and do those things that we've been asking, for my keys that I put out on the Wednesday, and this playing a 60-minute game thing that they've been talking about themselves. So that's some of the things that definitely I would like to see this weekend. Five expectations, thing that you can look for. I'm definitely waiting to hear what you guys got to say about that. Some of the things that you're looking for in this game, in particular, players that you might think that need to have that breakout here this weekend. If you're looking at some of the rookies like a Tyler Algier, maybe he have a bigger game this weekend. Arnie Katie, D'Angelo Malone, Troy Anderson. See if he make a another big play going in. See if Drake London continues to do the things he's been doing. All those things. Make sure the offensive line keep playing. Like, if the best thing I can say is that we haven't really been talking about the offensive line these first two games, which is a good thing. I mean, going up against two pretty good, um, well-known Pro Bowlers, a Cam Jordan and a Aaron Donald. Those guys, both of those guys, if you're just looking at them, the way they play, that's the kind of things you want to see. Eli Wilkins out. Please no Mayfield. Guess what? Mayfield is on injury reserve, so Jalen Mayfield will not be able to play because he's still on injury reserve. Remember, so it's going to be Kobe Gosick, and it's going to be either Chama Idoka. So either one of those guys actually is going to be our left guard. So Jalen Mayfield can't play, so he can't even be an option. So that's one good thing to think about. All right, we'll get to see what these guys do. The great thing we can't say, we haven't really talked about the offensive line this off season. I know everybody looked at that. They were like, "Oh crap!" Um, we got our left guard out, but we're going to see what Kobe guys can do. We're going to see what Chuma Edoga can do. I guess the guy they brought in from off the waiver wires after we had the 53-man cut. So both of those guys is going to fill in that left guard spot. One good thing about playing the Seattle Seahawks, I don't think it's any big name guy on the Seattle defensive line that we really have to be concerned about. They got a solid defensive line. Not saying that they're garbage or anything. They got a solid defensive line. So we'll just have to see. They got pretty good young linebackers that's out there. We just got to be solid, guys. I'm telling you that that 12, that fan base is going to help those guys out on defense. So we need to execute. Um, we need to make sure we do the situational things right. When we get down the red zone, if you go back and look at that Broncos game, they fumbled twice in the red zone. That game probably should have been a blowout from a Broncos standpoint, but the mistakes that happened on that side on the Broncos offensive side of the ball really hurt them bad. So um, that's one of the things we got to look at. Like I said, even a veteran quarterback like Russell Wilson couldn't handle some of those, that crowd nor that atmosphere, right? So we've seen the things that Marcus Mariota have did these first two games, and want to make sure that he can handle that noise, right? He's got to be able to manage that offense. They're gonna have to do it probably all silent count, things like that. And if these guys mix it up, Pete Carroll's a good defensive coach. So let's hopefully we could manage the noise, the atmosphere in Seattle. Before I go, I do have one question, and if you guys can comment later on the thread, is Brian Edwards. What do you guys think about Brian Edwards? Remember, he was one of the guys that we actually brought in, via trade from the Vegas Raiders, and his start so far. It seemed like he's an afterthought. I thought he was going to have some kind of, you know, contributions to this team, but the first 2 weeks, I mean, just look at it. He let Jalen Ramsey jump over his head to get the interception on that play in the game to end the game last week. Um, so Brian Edwards, what do you guys thought on Brian Edwards? I mean, I think Cardell Hodge has actually had more contributions so far in the first 2 weeks than Brian Edwards have. Young guy, I thought he was going to be able to help this team coming in, bringing him off via trade. He still got 1 year left on his contract, but we just got to see. We got Chester Hurt said, "You think Brian averages best?" Yeah, I agree. At this point, that's what we've seen so far. I haven't seen him do anything that gives me the hope that he can actually do anything. And the thing about it, he's not a little receiver. He's a pretty big guy. So I just don't understand what's going on with him. I think Edwards come along as the season go along. Yep, we will have to see. I agree with you, 100%. I mean, if he can't get better, you may want to see what Barnhart and Demir Bird can do because we haven't seen anything from Brian Edwards this year. You also talked about Armor Advocaty. Is that, yeah, man? I One of the things that I talked about earlier, one of my things, my expectations, things I'm looking for this week is that pass rush and the pressures from this defense, right? I mean, I know the Falcons kind of hyped up Geno Smith, but let's be real, Geno Smith is, he's a quarterback in the NFL, so any quarterback can beat you. But Geno Smith is Geno Smith. So if we could, put pressure on him, make him, confuse him, run those blitz from all over the place, put pressure up the middle with our defensive line with Grady and things like that. Hopefully we could make a mistake. That's what we want out of Geno Smith. Make him make a mistake. We said Bonhart hungry. Exactly. I mean, he's been active every week. He just haven't got on the field so far. So I mean, like I said, they're going to make him active, and you may want to have a change of pace. I can see Barnhart, and I'm not saying this, but the way he plays the game, being able to read those zones and things, he could be that Wes Wecker guy or Julian Edelman, somebody like that. Um, just see put him in and see if he could do that. With his small frame, he looked pretty impressive in the preseason. I know you can't put a lot of stock on guys where they play in the preseason, but I mean that's why he made the team. His play in the preseason. So, if you're gonna have him active, maybe you want to run him out there and see what he's capable of. Because at the point right now, um, Brian Edwards haven't did much of anything. So, that's just one of the things that we got to consider and what we got to think about. So this just you know, let them think about it and see what their plans are, what they decide to do with that receiving core. Maybe Demir Bird could be active this week. Hopefully they keep Tyler Algier active. Hopefully they keep um D'Angelo Malone. Hopefully they keep all those young guys that we want to see that had progression last week. Hopefully they keep them active for this game. All right, those guys got to play. We heard Dean Pease talk about he wanted to get Troy Anderson out there, some reps and meaningful football instead of putting him in, in garbage time. So that's the reason why he actually put him out there. Um, in the second quarter, I think he had Troy Anderson out there in the second quarter. I mean, at that point, I think we was like, just try anything because those guys couldn't stop the Rams from moving the balls up and down the field in that first half. So um, that's what we had. We got to see these young guys. These young guys are our future. Not looking towards the future right now. We're trying to win games. We're trying to get that first W against these Seahawks. But let these young guys get some reps and let them learn and see what they're able to do. So for the couple of guys in the chat, do you think that this is a must win for the Falcons this week? Just because the DCN will get better, they just need to continue to figure out the good rotation among players they have. I agree with that. I mean, I think we saw pretty good rotations in the secondary this year. I mean, this last past game with Jalen Hawkins, the safeties they had Eric Harris out there. I don't know how much playing time D Alford got this game. So you said the talent is there. The Falcons just have to play all quarters. Yep, that was my first expectation for these guys this week. this weekend is to play 60 minutes, right? We got to see these guys play a 60-minute game. 60 minutes is what it's going to take. We seen that if you look at some of the games from last week, was a lot of teams that stopped playing. You know, we saw the Browns stop playing with like minute and some change left, and they lost the games up by 13. So you got to play a full 60 minutes, because if you don't play a full 60 minutes, the other guys on the field on the other side of the ball, they're professionals too, and they could beat you. The Falcons know this because we've been the victim of that a couple of games. So we have to think about that. Must win for the Falcons. You cannot really afford to be 0-3 down. I agree 100%. It is a must win. These guys got to get the W. Right? They need to go out and early, early in the season, I say treat this game like a playoff game. But look, man, you can't lose to the Seattle Seahawks. I know they're at home and that in that atmosphere and things like that. We got a young team, but I think the Atlanta Falcons is a better team. So that's the way I feel about it. These guys cannot go 0-3. Yeah, I mean, I mean, they still have 14 games left after this week, but I mean, guys, this is like one of the easiest teams on the schedule this year. So, like I said, you're not going to get this, games like this to try to, stack up some of the wins if you think you're a playoff caliber team, right? Or just a better team than everybody's expecting, right? Next week is not going to be easy. The way the Browns looked last night, if you guys watched that game, the Browns looked pretty good. So Jacoby Brissett is holding down the fort until Deshaun Watson gets back. So you gotta like what you saw from the Cleveland Browns. So, you know, we got to get this win. And then of course they played last night, so they got a head start on, watching film on the Atlanta Falcons trying to stop us. So I don't think it's a gimme game on the schedule for the Atlanta Falcons. So we just got to freaking um enjoy these things. You too, man. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So, guys, it pretty much. I didn't have a whole lot to say tonight. I just wanted to get on here and talk about the expectations and the things that I was going to actually be looking for in this game from the Atlanta Falcons this weekend. Um, Hopefully, we can actually get this W. That's the things that we want to see. Poncho, that what we seen from our run defense. Yep, that's gonna be key because we know Pete Carroll wants to run the ball. So if we can shut down that run game, we make them one dimensional. That's one of the keys I had to make Geno Smith beat us. If we could do that, Pancho, I think that's gonna bode well for us. So we can stop the run, make Geno Smith be, beat us in the air. I think it's gonna bode well for us. Bro, what's good? Just showing my support. Thanks, man. Let's get that W this weekend. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah, guys. So, like I said, I appreciate everybody that showing up and showing the love. Just Falcon fans out here. Hopefully this Sunday, when we get on here, we have some good vibes about this team and like what we saw, instead of coming in and trying to dissect every moment and seeing why we lost the game, right? Pretty much that's what 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 happened last week, and that's what happened the first 2 weeks, right? We had those games. We could have won both of those games. We could easily be 2-0, right? If you're looking at it, but if you go back to last year, and we had seven, you know, one score games that we won. So we could have lost those games. So that's how close the NFL is when you're thinking about teams and professionals. I think NFL is probably one of the harder sports, that sports that you can actually say that everybody just is way way ahead of everybody else, if you know what I mean. So, like if you look at basketball, it's the best team, and then the worst team is it's a big gap between that. In the NFL, it's really not the case. I mean, that's why we say any given Sunday when you're thinking about the NFL, right? So that's the what you have to look at it. You can be beat any week when you come in because those guys on the other side, I mean, they got great coaches on the other side. They got players on the other side is just as good. And those are things that you got to think about when you're in the NFL. So that's why each week you have to come out and don't underestimate teams. That's why when you hear press conferences and they say this team is a pretty good team, they talk about each player, they talk about in high regards because the matter of the fact is it's the fact. They're in the professional, league, especially the NFL. It's only about 1,600 guys, so that means they all can play. Hope so, man. I hope that's the case. You're right. He hadn't played in 2 years. He got some of those cartwheels out. I do believe looking at his game in the first two games, like he's playing a little bit too fast, and he just need to slow down just a little bit. Because I mean, the way the offensive line been playing, like he has a little bit more time than he think he has, and just need to slow down, go through the progression, and make the right play. That play he threw to Jalen Ramsey, go back and look at it. He was getting pressured in that play, so when he threw it up, um, considering like I said, the pressure that he took, I thought it was a pretty good ball. Kind of threw it a little high, um, but Brian Edwards should have made a play on the ball at least. Don't let Jalen Ramsey just come up and take it because that's what happened in that play. But hopefully you're right. Hopefully he can shake off those cobwebs and have a solid game. I can tell you the best game I seen, the last best game I seen Marcus Mario play, besides the game he played, of course, when he came in for Derek Carr in 2020, which the Raiders was the game he played against the Atlanta Falcons the season before he got benched. Go back and look at that game and the way he played in that game. Um, it's amazing to see that he actually got benched because either the Atlanta Falcons team was that bad that season, or he somehow just lost it. Because go back and look at the game he played against us in the stadium. The year he got benched, and that was in 2019, I think. And you go back and look at that, and that was just amazed. I was just amazed at how he played that well in that game. And then a couple of games later, they actually benched him for Ryan Tannehill. So yeah, yes. The game speed. Yeah, right. And that's what it is. I mean, if you think about it, he fumbled the snap. The little things that like people keep saying that rookie mistakes, but it's just because I feel like he just thinking that he got to go, and he want to make this play, but just settle down and just do what you do. I mean, he's one of the most athletic quarterbacks in the league still today. So if he can just settle down, and I really I've been impressed with the way he's been playing. For the most part, I don't think he made a lot of mistakes. Um, the ones he have made has been huge mistakes. The interception, of course, the end of the game, the fumble during the Saints game, the fumble snap in the Saints game. Those things that they're big and they're loud mistakes that he made. But for the most part, I think he played a pretty good solid game. And and if it's the fact that he can start getting Kyle Pitts the ball, like he's been great getting Drake London the ball, I think we'll be able to see um Mario to play well. So he said he just need to realize his limitations. He ain't Cordell. He ain't going to get broke up. Yes. Yeah. I mean, his the thing about Marcus Mariota is that we know who he is, right? Like I said the other day, he's not the most accurate quarterback. He need to use his athletic ability to make the plays he need to make, extend plays. Um, but he has to be confident when it's time to throw the ball. I think that's one of Marcus Mariota's biggest things. I think he not as confident. He got to let that ball go. Right when you see the read, he's there. You know these windows are like this in the NFL anyway. So if it's open, throw it. I mean, if you go back and look at that pass he threw to Cardell Hodge, that's the kind of play I'm talking about. That was a accurate throw in traffic, right on the money to Cardell Hodge. It was a big play. Those are the kind of plays he got to make all the time. Those kind of throws he need to make. And if he can do things like that, like I said, you go back and look at some of the film. He has made some great throws out there, big plays. The play he threw to Alumni Kids, I know it was preseason. That's kind of throw. It was on time. It was on target. It was timing. He threw that pass before Alumni Kids actually had broke off into the slant. So those are the kind of things we want to see from Marcus Mariota. Yes, we just need to break through, man. I think we all know this in NFL. That first win is that gets the monkey off everybody back, right? Uh, we get that first win. I think we can start rolling. I'm not saying it's gonna be easy to get that win in Seattle because that crowd, that atmosphere is something, man. People don't believe it, but playing in that and with that crowd, that audience is gonna be loud. So that's some of the things that we definitely got to think about when you're looking at the Seattle game. Is that art that crowd and those guys gonna be loud. It's gonna be they gonna do have to do everything, you know, non-verbal communication on the offensive side of the ball. We have to think about things like that. We need to see how the offensive line, Marcus Mariota, those receivers, all them communicate that. Pretty sure they've been working on it all week, but that's gonna be the key. Uh, yeah, see the one thing I think about. He has to have confidence, but I think this win because the thing that happened. This go back in history a little bit and talk about Dan Quinn and the thing what happened with Dan Quinn. The team lost confidence because everything he was saying and the results wasn't showing. So eventually it started to just die out. Right. He came in, think about it, they went 8-8 that first year on a Dan Quinn. Then when next we went to the Super Bowl. The year after that, we went to the division round playoffs, right? So I would say the first 3 years of Dan Quinn regime was pretty successful if you look at it the way things was going. But then the last 3 years, right, it started to die because some of the same issues that was happening. The situational footballs, blowing big leads, making the same mistakes. They stopped believing in it. So that confidence and the things that they put out in practice this off season, because those guys they were confident coming into that Aints game, right? We saw that. We saw how confident those guys were and how hard they played in those first 3 quarters. And then it kind of killed them in that fourth quarter. And then they come out in the Rams game. They be sluggish in their first 3 quarters, but then they come back and come all the way back and win that game. It's a confident. These guys believe in what they're doing right now. They just need to see the results. And that first win, if we get that first win, I think that's going to propel us to be the team we actually can be this year. Yeah, it's not a whole bunch. It's not a whole bunch. That's accurate, and that is 100% true. I mean that's what these guys do. I mean, but that's the mobile quarterbacks is the way of the new way of the NFL here soon. Big mobile fast quarterbacks. Think the kid in Buffalo is probably the prototypical him and the guy the Chargers. Those two guys are going to be the new prototypical quarterbacks. Those guys got big arms. They mobile. They can get out of trouble. Um, that's what you're going to see. The Matt Ryan's, the Tom Brady's. Those guys going to eventually die out because it's not their fault. It's just the defensive guys are just so big and strong and mobile now, and those things is just not just not going to work anymore, right? Tom Brady, I mean, he's back. They're 2-0, but trust me, it don't seem like he's having a lot of fun right now because that offense is not clicking. That defense has have won those first two games for them. That offense is just not clicking right now. And then the thing I like about it is I'm just be honest with you guys is the fact that Julio already hurt. Like Julio Jones already hurt, so that makes me laugh a little bit. Yeah, hey, heavily second guessing himself, man. Yeah, he that's his problem. Like if you look at him sometimes he hesitate to throw the ball, and if he just need to let it go. If Mario to let the ball go, let it rip, and you're gonna turn over the ball, man. It's the NFL, so let's do this. Uh, we got a Saints fan in here, guys, talking crap. Yeah, you the one, your team the one breaking down, Sky. Let's be honest. Quarterback is on fumes right now. He's getting back to the old Jameis. He's getting back to the old Jameis. So we're gonna see what you guys do this week. See if you guys could put the Panthers in and 0-3, or if they're going to get their first win on against the Aints this week. Uh, one of them lot on the channels said this morning we need to go and play sound football. No need to get cute on Sunday. Hey man, that's for me. We need to run the ball. Actually, let's just say this: just do what we did in the first two games on the offensive side of the ball. If we do that on the offensive side of the ball, um, I think we're going to be just fine. Got to be able to run. I think we can run the ball. I think we just need to not get too cute. Don't force feed Kyle Pitts, even though I want Kyle Pitts to get the rock. Don't force feed him. Just stick to the things you've been doing. Um, the first two games, and then. But what I do want to see from a defense standpoint, go back to that mentality you had against the Aints, right? Go back to that mentality. Pressure the quarterback, Geno Smith, make him beat you. Just like Jameis had to go out and beat us, right? That's what we want. We want to shut down the run because we know they want to run, and we want to make Geno Smith beat us. Yeah, they got to throw also. That's what we want. We want them to beat us. That's what we want. We want Geno Smith. If Geno Smith go out and play like, freaking Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, and we just have to tip our cap off to him because that's what James Winston had to do in that fourth quarter. He had to play lights out to beat us, and if I can live with that, if guys go out and just all of a sudden play uncharacteristic and start playing like they never played before, they can do that. I can live with that. So, what's up, Drady? Let's see here. Notre Dame plus mobile quarterbacks help every fantasy team. Yeah, I got Lamar Jackson on my fantasy team this year, so you're right. And I got Patrick Mahomes on in another league, so I got two good solid quarterbacks. But you're right, um, Lamar Jackson, man, rushing and passing, that's great. Exactly, 3 points, man. Right now. He just happy because they beat us the first game of the season. Well, let me take it back. We gave them that first game of the season. Let's see here. Say Arthur Smith. Yeah, Arthur Smith has to stop overthinking, which is always also causes second guessing and kills confidence. Right. I said this, and I think you're right. Arthur Smith. Everybody comes out and they talk about his decision not to go for it on fourth down in the Yanks game, and he punted the ball back to his defense. At the time, I say this again. Um, I like the decision because at some point in time, you got to have your defense make a play, right? Even though the Aints was had more, they had momentum and they was driving the ball. But if you pin them deep, if we can stop them, we win that game, right? But then he come back this week, the first quarter, and go for it on fourth down, and I think that's like he's second guessing himself. If you felt like you made the right call, in the Aints game, just stick to it, man. You're the coach, because either way, you're gonna blame you regardless. So, but you're right. It seemed like he second guessed himself because I thought that was a questionable um call to go for it on 4th and 1, but either it was just a play. I mean, they tried to run the ball right up the middle, right at Aaron Donald, which I thought was kind of crazy on a 4th and 1. So either you're gonna make the decision, make the right call, make the right play call, whatever. But we'll just have to see. Uh, oh, you think he got shot? Yeah, because he was having back problems. You're right. He probably was high, man. He That's a good point. I forgot about that. I forgot about that. He was. Yeah, he say Debo come back from. I hope so, man. We'll have to see. That he'll be able to come back for that game. So hopefully they bring him back off the IR. I really believe that Deion Sanders. I mean Deion Sanders, Deion Jones definitely can help us with our defense. His coverage ability is great. Even his presence, just being out there with the team, his leadership. I mean, we talking about an All Pro linebacker. So the question about Debo is just the fact that I don't know where the Falcons see him at in their future. So it seems like they don't see him part of the future. So we'll just have to see what they decide to do with Deion Jones. He's definitely be available to come back that Tampa game though. But let's not get too far ahead. We got to worry about these Seahawks this week. We got to get that W, guys. All right, guys. Quick, like I said, I'm gonna do a quick recap of some of the things I talked about earlier. Um, like I said, 60 minutes of football. We definitely want to have 60 minutes of football. That's a must for us. Um, Pass rush and pressures, we definitely want to see that. We want to see that to the highest. We want to see the pass rush. We want to see them do their pressures they got. Um, Secondary against Lockett and Metcalf. And guys, we haven't called AJ Terrell name all season. I definitely want to see what we're going to do about AJ Terrell. See if he's going to actually show up sometime. He's still a great player, but we haven't called his name. Um, is Kyle Pitts going to finally have that breakout that we want to see from Kyle Pitts? Don't force feed him, but I think all week we talked about it. I think Arthur Smith is definitely going to have a game plan for Kyle Pitts. And then how will the Falcons actually play against this atmosphere and this crowd against the 12? How they going to navigate that? Those are some of the things that I expect to see this weekend. What I'll be looking for this game, and if we could actually um, see those things take place and see how they transpire. The big things for me, like I said, somebody said it. Don't get cute. Just be simple. Just do the things they do. They should come out with a W this weekend. Yeah, right. They said it, and what gets me about this whole thing, they said he had back fractures. They said it can't get any worse, right? But it got to be painful, man. It really has to be painful. And what you think about that? The fact that him and Alvin Kamara got hit, got hurt in that Falcons game, to mean that the Falcons was hitting. Those guys was bringing it in the Aints game, man. Because Alvin Kamara had the real issues. We got James Wisdom with his back fractures, things like that. That's big for us to just look at those things and see that those guys were bringing it, man. Those first three quarters, guys. Um, he said Dion wore out by not being able to shed blocks and plug the middle. I That's what we have to see. Um, if you listen to some of the things that Dean P said, he said like linebackers coming downhill, right? Well, Deion Jones is really not a downhill kind of guy. He's a read and react. He's fast. He's real quick. He I don't know if he's gonna take on blocks, but he tried to get there before the block get there. That's the kind of linebacker he is, and it's worked for him. In Dan Quinn's scheme, it really did. Like I said, for Dean Pease, I don't know. We just have to see. I don't know if they see him in the future. We just have to see what happens with Debo. Um, through the last left facts, the trend about Debo started 2018 divisional playoff games against Philly. Yeah, like I said, for me, I think Debo still has some good game left. I just don't know where he fits with the Atlanta Falcons. I know they love Michael Walker. Of course, they like what they see in Troy Anderson. Rashawn Evans is a 1 year rental for us. I don't think he's going to be the guy. Um, I think moving forward, I think it's going to be Troy Anderson and Michael Walker. That's what I really believe. He need to dumb it up. Yeah, he is. Yeah, Smith. Sometimes these guys, outthink themselves. Sometimes, right? They get too smart for their own good. I mean, you go back to we talk about the Seahawks this week, but Pete Carroll, throwing that slant in the Super Bowl instead of just running Marshawn Lynch, they try to outthink themselves. Everybody in the stadium knew Marshawn Lynch was getting the ball. The Patriots knew it. They knew they wasn't going to be able to stop it, but they still decided to throw the ball. I mean, it's you're right. Just be dumb, man. Like, just try to outsmart yourself and things like that. Yeah, man. He loved the blitz, man. He loved the blitz. And like I said, Geno Smith shouldn't be ready for what Dean P is going to throw at him. He shouldn't be ready for it. He shouldn't be ready for what Dean P is going to throw at him this week. All right. Um, I don't haven't seen where Geno Smith been known for you know being able to beat the blitz and things like that. So yeah, I do expect big game from CP. I think CP didn't like the fact that he dropped that interception. I think that was a momentum play as well. Think about it. We had just picked the ball off Casey Hayward. We got a pass interference on Kyle Pitts down the sideline. It was at midfield. I think we might would have put some points on the board there, either a touchdown or a field goal at least. And the score would either been 10 to 14 or 6 to 14. Either way, I think that was a big momentum for us. Because think about it, we turned the ball over, they got the ball down, and then we went in the half 20 down, went in the half down 21-3. So that was huge for us. That was a big play in the game. So hopefully CP come out. Let's see if CP can break that record this weekend in Seattle. That'd be big, right? One of my keys, big play on special teams. Let's see can he break the record for kickoff returns, NFL history and run it back in Seattle. And we think about that. If we do that the first play of the game, we can cry at the 12s all right at the start of the game. That'd be awesome. uh, yeah, I mean, you're right. Right now we don't. We seen that. Michael Walker show flashes though, man. He really do. He do show flashes. Michael Walker, he had some good plays, but he had some bad plays in that game. I think he had a couple of missed tackles in that game that really hurt us. Um, so he has to start playing better in space. If you go back and look what he did at Fresno State, they had him all over the field. He was probably one of their best players. They had him rushing the passer off the edge. I think he played a safety. He played line. He was played all over the field. So he's an athletic guy, but playing out in space, he had to get more reps in that. But look, he don't had two picks and this last season and had one this season. So he makes some plays, had a sack already on Jameis Winston. So Michael Walker doing some good things, but you're right, no coverage. I think Dion Jones still our best coverage linebacker. That is correct. Um, yep, that guy, he's balling, man. Drake Drake is balling, man. I just want to see one game where Kyle Pitts and Drake London go off in the same game. If we can see that, that would be tremendous for us. If we can see Kyle Pitts and Drake London go off and do do some good things, that man, then we could now we can see the potential in our minds of this, how this offense gonna be, right? Um, and then I gotta say it again. I mean, we still have Calvin Ridley on our squad. He's not playing this year, but if Kyle Pitts and Drake London can get that chemistry down, and you bring Calvin Ridley back to the mix, man, that will be special. Michael Walker always reminded me of a watered down Debo from the time he was drafted to. Yeah, he can't. Michael Walker cannot play in space, man. So he got to get better. Like I said, his missed tackles right now, but like I said, they love the guy. He's wearing the green dot on the back of his head, so he's calling the defense, getting that experience. So we're going to see what Michael Walker see if he can he improve this season. But Troy Anderson has the potential, with his speed, to be that coverage linebacker for us. He's not there yet, but with his speed, he has the potential to be that coverage linebacker that we actually need. Um, and you just said it. Troy got the coach. He got the. That's why he had him out there, though. He mentioned that he wanted to put Troy out there in meaningful snaps. So he put him out there. I think it was in the second quarter. He had him out there inside Michael Walker. Um, he said it had nothing to do with Rashawn Evans not being out there, but he wanted to see Troy Anderson go out there because he is the future. I mean, this guy, he has so much untapped potential, guys. I mean, like I said, for me, for anything, just Troy Anderson, having him out there for just blitz packages alone. I mean, because the way he blitzed the quarterback, I mean, it's awesome, man. It just, I mean, the way look, that punt block that he had, he actually pretty much ran through the guy's leg. And that's how he gets after the quarterbacks on blitz. So for me, I would just want to see him, if just on the field, just for the blitz packages alone. But he has to get that time to go out there and learn how to read defenses, and maybe they can start utilize him in coverage more because he has the speed. But you have to know how to read and react and know, because once these guys know what the offense going to do, and because they've seen it so many times on film and stuff like that, they know how to be there because his athletic ability is there. He actually, think about it, he's faster than Deion Jones. Um, his 40 time is even faster than that, and he's bigger. So if he can actually learn how to play the position, um, he could be somebody to be reckoned with. Like I said, he could be a Luke Kuechly, right? Somebody like a Luke Kuechly. That guy was spectacular, and I could see Troy Anderson being something like that. He's bigger, so a lot of people want to try to compare him to somebody like a Brian Urlacher. A Zach Thomas is another guy that you kind of can think about with Troy Anderson. But for me, um, I want him to be somebody like a Luke Kuechly. So uh, we that last left. The sure P is going to try to Troy right. I think Troy is a good space block. Awesome. Yeah, yeah. And like I said, for me, that play was just to show you his explosion that he has. That. Of course, he didn't get blocked, but I mean, if he had his head up, he probably could have took the ball off the guy's foot and ran it in himself. I mean, that's how explosive that play was. Yeah, I mean, you man, if you think about it, think about the way Michael Parsons they're utilizing Michael Parsons because I think Troy Anderson actually bigger than Michael Parsons. Um, the thing they ran about the same. You're right. You could put him out there and see what he can do on the edge. It's a good idea. I like that. Um, we got a bright near future if these guys books. That's what it boils down to. 4 quarters, man. I mean, we've been saying that for so many years though. The front of the Falcons, they could just play 4 quarters of football. These guys, yes, it's 4-4. Exactly. This guy's he's fast, man. The guy is fast, and he's weigh about 250. So he weigh about like I said about 25 pounds more than Deion Jones, and he's faster than Deion Jones. He's not Deion Jones, not yet, especially not in coverage. But if he can get there, this guy could be special for us. So, um, and that's maybe the reason why, like I said, they don't see Deion Jones part of the future. Uh, Me too. I'm excited too. We just got to get. I mean, this be honest. We have to get the quarterback position right. That's what it really boils down to about the future of this team. The quarterback. It has to be the quarterback has to be the key, right? We like what Marcus Mariota doing. I think a lot of us feel like Desmond Ritter probably could be that guy. He he's probably not ready to come in there right now, but um, he could be that guy. I mean, I like Desmond Ritter a lot. I think he has the intangibles. Intangibles don't make you a good quarterback, though. You have to put it in on on film and put it out there on the field and see what you're able to do. But he has the intangibles, so I don't like the fact everybody already looking for a quarterback in the draft. And we might have our quarterback already on the team. Not ready to see that yet. I want to see what Marcus Mariota can do and see can he win some games for us. Because I think right now he's more equipped to get us on the right track, the winning track, than Desmond Ritter is right now. Um, just teach him some moves, eye placement, and hands uses. Yes, and I mean just think about it. In college, he played like 3 positions. So, now he can just focus on linebacker. And if he could just focus on that, smart kid, we already know he's smart to be able to play quarterback and running back as well. So you're 100% right. They just put him out there. He needs that play time though. I'm good. Dean Pease put him out there in meaningful snaps to get out there and get it. And I would imagine that he's probably going to get out there again this week as well. James said Mariota had both receivers on that touchdown down the plate to London. Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did. I mean, if we go back to that 3rd and 13 where he threw the ball to Brian Edwards, if you go back and look at that play, you span it out, you see Kyle Pitts on the left going up the sideline, and you see Drake London on the right going up the sideline. I thought both of those guys was open, and if you're going to throw it 50-50 balls, why not throw it to one of those guys? I mean, Drake London was one of the best 50-50 receivers in college last year. And then, Kyle Pitts is 6'6", man. Just throw the ball up to either one of those guys. I thought you would have had a better chance. But we did the last. Yeah, let's see here. I agree. I think Desmond Ritter is going to be great as well. We just don't need to rush him, guys. Let's let him learn and sit behind Marcus. We make huge mistake if we rush this man. Yep. Let him learn some. See, you said it, man. That's what we got to do. I mean, if you ask him now, let's be honest. If you ask Drake London, I mean Desmond Ritter, if he's ready to get out there, he's going to tell you yes. He's going to 100% tell you he's ready to go. Um, said I'm still optimistic Mariota can take us to the playoffs, but he got. I mean, I man, I like I said, I had these guys going 10-7. So um, yes, I'm a homer. I'm a Falcon fan, so I had them going 10-7. I still believe that, even though we 0-2. I had us being 1-1 at this point of the season anyway. But if we can, somehow get this game in Seattle, then go back home and pull out the game against the Browns, and we send at 500 going into that Tampa's game, and that's another division opponent where right now the Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense is not playing that well. So here we go. We just read that. Yeah. So guys, like that's where we're at. Let's see here. So I got like guys. I enjoyed talking to you guys today. Let's get this win on Sunday. That's what we want to do. Let's get this win on Sunday, so we come back in here on on Sunday night and we can all celebrate. Right, the Falcons' first win. Talk about all the good things that we seen, how, and we can kind of imagine these guys moving forward. I think at this point we all like the direction this team, even being 2-0-2 right now, we like the way this team progressing, right? I mean, it's a young team. It is what it is. It's a young team. Let's keep keep that in mind. A lot of people thinking a rebuild. I think this team still compete this year. I mean, just look at it. We got young guys all over the field. I mean, Lorenzo Carter, our oldest outside linebacker, but he's still young himself. Um, Young secondary. Casey Hayward, a little seasoned, but look at the things he do. Create turnovers, things like that for us. Eric Harris, a solid older vet that's there. Grady Jarrett, still that solid guy that we got in the middle. And then Jake Matthews, a guy just solid on our young offensive line. So this is a young team, and these guys are competing, and they competed with two other better teams in NFL the first two games of the season. So that's why we all got the belief that we can definitely beat the Seahawks this week. And I hope they don't go out and prove us wrong. Only way I think the Falcons lose this game if they make mistakes. That's just my opinion. If if they go out and make a lot of mistakes and give the game to the Seattle Seahawks, that's the way I feel like they can lose. If they go out and play their game, I think it'll be their first win of the season. And James here says defense win championships. You're 100% correct. That's the thing. Defense does win championships. Um, that's why everybody criticized Arthur Smith for punting the ball against the Aints. I like the idea because the defense need to stand up. I mean, I want to see one game where the Atlanta Falcons defense make a play and stop somebody from, and we win that way. We did last year against the Lions, even though they got the ball way down to the red zone. Then remember Fourier um, caught the ball for interceptions. But that's the kind of thing that we need to see. We want defense to actually start to make plays. We don't need offense to always bail us out. We want the offense to take the lead, get the ball back to our defense. 2 minutes left in the game, and they make us stop and to end the game on the defensive side of the ball. That's what we want to see. Wilkerson out. They said personal reasons, right? They said he's out for personal reasons. That's why he's out. But we got Chuma Idoka and Kobe Gossett going to fill in for him. So we don't have to worry about Jalen Mayfield. He's still on the IR. So I know a lot of people was worried about Jalen Mayfield getting out there, but he's on the IR, so he can't play anyway. So it's going to be Kobe Gossett and Chuma Idoga. That's who's going to actually um, be the guy for us. Uh, yeah, it's extra large, man. I got that. This my Falcon thing. Like it says, I'm a real Falcon fan. I've been a Falcon fan since probably the late early '90s. So Prime time and the Dirty Birds, those that generation, and then of course, you know, I was there in '98 when we lost. Um, I was there when Arthur Blank brought the team and Michael Vick came. So of course you were there for the Vick years and then all the Matty Ice years. So been a Falcon fan for forever, and these guys gonna put it off, guys. Believe that. Oh, you didn't know Wilkerson was out? Yeah, he's out, but don't worry about it, man. We're gonna be all right on the offensive line. The Seahawks don't have that that dominant defensive alignment that we need to worry about in this game. So I think we will be just fine. Said let Jalen Mayfield be out for the whole rest of the year. That's where I need to see what's okay. All right. All right, guys. Like I said, that's it for me today. I'll be back on here on Sunday. Um, after the Falcons get their first W of the season. So um that's what I want to see. We have James say he was there when Bob Bear was quarterback. Wow. Wow. So you been there, man. See, he's a real Falcon fan. I was kind of probably a little bit too young back then, but I mean, I remember you know, Barkowski and all those guys too. I was a little bit too young, but I remember them as well. Um, I don't I remember Jesse Tuggle. Um, he's probably one of my favorite players growing up. Jesse Tuggle, the Hammer, um, and his son followed right in his footsteps. So yeah, so you're right. We are veteran fans because you know why, guys. We seen it all, right? we we seen the Falcons at they worst, right? We seen. I was there when the Falcons was part of the division with the 49ers in the division. That's when I was there when the Falcons and the 49ers in the same division, and the 49ers is going to all those Super Bowls. I still remember those years. So um Scott Case, man, I was there with Scott Case too. I remember him. We had some pretty good players, man. We had some pretty good players. The one thing we never had in Atlanta, which is hopefully eventually we can change it, is a dynamic pass rusher. Our all time leading pass rusher is still John Abraham, which is just sad. I mean, because John Abraham was in the in the 2000s. I mean, that's bad. So just think about it. He's our all-time leading rusher, and then fifth on that list is Vic Beasley. So just think about that. Vic Beasley's like drafted like in the 2010s, and he's like fifth on that list. So um, we if we need to get that dynamic pass rusher. Maybe Arnold Ebiketie can turn into that guy, right? We'll have to just see. Like you said, Abraham with his. Yep, Abraham was the man, man. He's the last. I mean, he's the all-time leading pass rusher for the Atlanta Falcons. That's just sad. Um, but that's what we got. So, guys, that's all I have today, though. Like I said, hopefully see you guys on Sunday after a win. If we don't get a win on Sunday, I come back on here. I'm gonna be probably highly disappointed. I'm not gonna even lie to you guys. It's not gonna be good because they they had to blow the game. That's the way I look at it. They had to blow the game if we lose on Sunday. So guys, that's it. See you guys on Sunday. Be ready. Go Falcon. Rise up. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. Peace.